Wellbore Integrity Solutions manufacturing manager Isaac Godina introduces us to the TrackMaster whipstock side tracking system. The manufacturing process starts in the heat treat facility.
So this is the heat treat furnace. Heat treating is just changing the properties of the material, and the mill run gives us the opportunity to bring the material green and use it for several product lines. The first step is the bar will go through the furnace. We know the parameters on how fast to feed it and how it will hit our water quenchers at what time and how quickly to run it through the quencher. So this is where the saw comes in and the saw shop. And they'll cut the piece off. They'll maintain the length of the part. They'll maintain the traceability. That's what he's doing here. He's writing a work order number down, the heat number down, and then he keeps traceability on his work order packet, sends it off. Once he finishes with the part that the raw material that he's cutting, he will then color code the part that he sawed off. So now the inventory for raw material, we know what it's at. This is at the very first operation of machining. He's going to turn the outside diameter. This is the type of work holding where you do it manually. There's no pneumatics or hydraulics involved. So he's turning the chuck without contacting the part. He's getting it close to the finished for the raw stock OD diameter. Then he will grab it with the other jaw and get it closer to finish, and then he'll start indicating this part so it runs true. So that's why these guys have to have good shop geometry, so they can understand where they're located in, say, a point of X, Y, and Z. This is the same whipstock that we saw over there on that Weiler lathe. We hold these parts with the magnet, and it's a whole lot quicker to rotate and move and what have you. This is the last component to the expandable anchor. He had this connection here, right? So he was checked up here. He turned this OD and then he did the RSC connection. Now he's going to chuck up on this side and generate the actual bevel that is on this side. Yeah. So what they do first is they do a preparatory op just to make sure that the actual work holding the chucks are not actually moving out. So once we get that right, they'll run this, then they'll grab it there, and then they'll run the second piece. So his final cut will be right here on this vertical line. Right now, the feature that we're doing on this mill, he's going to be sectioning the parts. Each part that he sections off of here has to be maintained as a set. This is a critical part for the assembly. He's machining the radii here, the radius, and this is what rides up and down and holds the anchor in position. The last operation that'll happen is a surface is going to be a radius on top with some holes drilled in it where we actually braze contacts in, and that's what holds the entire anchor, the whipstock, and the mill assembly when it's inside of the casing. So this is the area where they do the actual TrackMaster mill head. So this is the very first operation that he did. He created the working thread. This is called the working thread here. He created the first operation to the mill head. He also created a hole here that is going to be intersected once he finishes off the second side. They're meant for fluid to go through the mill body and then come out of these jet hoses that are right here. Basically the same process that they apply the hard face here, they do to the TrackMaster mill that goes down the whipstock. So that is a TrackMaster mill body. The very first stop they do is they weld the blades to the body itself. After the cage, they'll get it clean and they'll apply the hard metal. And the actual carbide has to be set in a certain position. So as you have this brazed to the blade, it has to be positioned as well. All the components are serialized, so they'll list it on the traceability traveler. They'll put it in the kit. It just generates one serialization. That speeds up the process for assembly. another expandable anchor that the guys built. This is at the testing stage. We put them on these racks so it's self-aligning on the Rosado test bay. So it's inserted in the test cap so you can have a way to communicate the actual hydraulic fluid inside of the tool itself. As we push through, we have internal cameras so you can see if there's any kind of leakage from the component coming out, you can see it there. After this, it'll go to paint. The good thing about this paint, and it's water-based, so we don't pollute the air. We protect our environment above and beyond any regulatory agency places on top of a manufacturing facility. It's one of our core values: protect our people, protect our environment. So in this case here, he's going to do a QC final inspection, which is the last line of operation on our routing. He'll pull the print and he'll start doing all the inspection of the geometry on the part. As they're finishing up of the QC final finished and they're ready to go on hand, we go into the staging for shipping. Saudi Arabia, Dubai, North America, South America, wherever they need to go.